Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Ross, and I'll be helping out on the technical side of the webinar. We will have some time for questions and answers at the end, so if you have any questions during the webinar, please go ahead and type those into the questions box in the control panel. I'll do my best to kick those over to our panelists at the end and get them all answered for you. So with all that out of the way, I'd like to hand things over to our YMCA Experience Manager, Doug Courier.
Hey everybody, thank you all for being on the call today. Very exciting to have so many people joining us to learn more about Expresso's Rally for the Y. My name's Doug Courier, and with me today, I have three panelists that are going to be sharing their stories and their tips and their best practices on how to help you be successful with the rally. Joining me is Nancy Trudel from the Calgary YMCA, Yvette Lyons from the Pierce and Kitsap Counties YMCA, and Andrea Champagne from the Greater Providence Ys. We'll hear from each of them in just a bit, but before we do, I'll just kind of do a quick walkthrough of who I am and what the rally is, and then we'll turn it over to the real stars. So my name is Doug Courier. I'm the YMCA Experience Manager with Expresso. I've been with Expresso for 2 years. Before that, I spent 14 years as a YMCA director in the New England area. So I've walked in a lot of your shoes, and the rally is something that I'm really passionate about just because I know where those dollars go to help support your communities, and I'm just happy to be a part of this program. This will be my third year running with the rally, so that's who I am. I'm here to help support you guys and do everything I can to have you guys have an impactful rally campaign this year. So how does the rally work? I know we've got probably some veterans on this call and some people just that are new to it. So every February, Expresso partners with our YMCA partners to help fundraise. And as you can see, it runs throughout the course of February. And last year we had a significant impact where we had 341 Ys, 9,559 riders, and we collectively raised $252,000 to support local communities. That's kids going to camp, that's Live Strong programs, that's membership for all. So we're really having a significant impact on Y's abilities to support their communities. So how does it work? Well, before how it works, it's become more than just the dollars and cents. It's really become a really great community event, getting a collective group of people working towards a common goal. If nothing else, it's a great platform to tell the Y's story. A lot of people have a misunderstanding about what the Y is, and they think that their fees cover everything. So the rally has become a great platform for Y's to share their story of where their philanthropic dollars go. It's become an easy way to engage staff, which we'll learn a little bit more from Yvette on later. It's an easier way to get staff involved and have staff encourage members to ride. And it's also a great way to just build up your Expresso riding communities. Expresso is always meant to be a community program at your YMCAs, and this is just a great way to rally support around your Expresso community. And it's a great way to engage your youth riders, which again we'll hear from Andrea a little bit more on that. In addition to what it can do, how it works is every February, riders will sign on for the challenge. Hopefully everyone on the call has registered their team, and then individuals will register at those particular branches. Expresso will donate 10 cents for every registered rider throughout the month, but above that, it's an opportunity. We encourage staff and members to personalize their web pages and share with friends and families to solicit even more support for their ride. Everything is tracked online. Supporters are directed to your donation link. There's Expresso doesn't touch any of the money. How it works is we take your link and we track a little bit of their donation on our website, and then we reroute them to your donation page. Every rider that raises $100 will earn a badge next to their name on the leaderboard, and they'll be entered into a lottery to win an additional $1,000 from Expresso for their team. Riders under 20, our youth riders, have the same opportunity. If they raise $100 or more for their Y, they'll be entered in for a chance to win an additional $500 donation, and the top overall team will get an extra $1,000. So those are some of the prizes and how it all works. We've got a whole host of resources for you. We've got this video link, which you see here. I'd be happy to work with you guys individually if there are some on this call that would like even more support after this webinar. And we also have a new this year is a mentorship program where we can pair you up with another Y that's had success with the rally and sort of let you pick their brains on what has made them successful. So that in a nutshell is how the rally works. We've again got all kinds of resources, but today we're really here to hear from some of our presenters on how they've made the rally a big part of their success with their annual campaigns and their fundraising efforts. So first, we're going to hear from Nancy Trudel. Nancy comes to us from north of the border in Calgary, the Shawnessy YMCA. And here she is. And Nancy's going to be talking to us about how to keep it simple. Nancy, thank you so much for joining us this morning and being part of this webinar.
Yeah, hello, everyone. I was honored to be asked to present because I don't feel like we do anything spectacular, but as I reflect, I have a really great team that shares the passion of the Expresso bikes with me. My coordinator, you can see in the bottom picture, Sandra, is just as passionate as me and is great with person connections. So really, we've just done the basic principles of member retention and customer service. We talk to our members and tell them how great the Expresso bikes are, and it's really word of mouth. Our bikes are right across from from our desk at the weight floor, and so really any member that's walking by, they either talk to a staff person or when they're on the bikes, our staff people will talk to them. So it really does, we don't have them off in the corner. We have them right up front so people can be chatted with. And we do talk to our members all year round. If we notice that people are riding as a guest, Sandra admitted that she'll go over and kind of peer over and then convince them and tell them the benefits of having an account and the different challenges and things that Expresso does, and gets them excited about being here as a rider. We build excitement about the tournament, so we post results on a monthly basis. We post our monthly challenges that are presented to us. For this Rally for the Y specifically, we email our members of the upcoming challenge. And then if there's a little bit more that we want to promote, we email throughout, but then sum it up with an email at the end of the challenge to say how we've done and give congrats to the highest mile rider as well as the highest donor, the person that's raised the most money. We use the promo kits for sure. All of the resources that Expresso gives us, we use those to post throughout the facility. And then our goals for this year, the wonderful thing about the Y Madness in the fall was that we have more riders. So we are hoping that we'll have more miles. And then we are going to challenge our other branch that has bikes in Calgary to get all of our supervisors and coordinators to ride a minimum amount. We're thinking about 50 miles as minimum. And then we also have our VPs coming in. I planned for them to be here in February so they get an idea of what this challenge is all about and they contribute to the goal as well. And of course, our staff will fill in holes when we need some riders. So yeah, so we're excited about getting everybody involved.
So Nancy, we're seeing on your screen here this challenge board where you seem to have a one-day event. This looks like a board that could live in almost any Y in the world. Tell us a little bit about what you do here with this and how it helps you with the rally. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, it's again pretty basic. It's just a whiteboard that we've done up, and it's a sign-up board. So we pick a particular day. We wanted to do it earlier on in the rally so that we could get people excited about it. We ride from open until close. We try to get people to ride their hearts out on the bikes that we have. And again, if we don't have a particular time that has all of the bikes signed up on, then we get our staff to ride and fill in those holes. But this is just a way for us to identify what our goal is and get more riders. And then from the 12th until the end of the month, which this year we have one extra day, as you guys pointed out, then we hopefully have those riders that continue to ride for the rest of the month.
Awesome. So as you guys can see, Ross, if you click back to the screen, Nancy's doing things that are really simple, taking advantage of our toolkits, talking to members, but collectively, consistently, they're raising a couple of $1,000s to support their programs, which is awesome. I know there's a lot of Ys that are apprehensive because they don't think they can really have that impact. But Nancy, you're a great example of how, you know, a simplistic approach can yield some significant, you know, participation and engagement. I guess what, you know, talking, you know, speaking as a grizzled veteran, what's one tip that you could give a Y that's either in their first year of the rally or might be looking to take their rally to the next level, either from you know, a couple $100s to a couple $1,000s? What's one tidbit that you would give them?
Well, I think it's, again, just the basic principle of don't be afraid of talking to your members and getting them excited about moving and exercising, and then showing them the benefits of being part of the Espresso Y community. Get your staff excited, and you'll have a great year.
Awesome. Thank you so much, and thank you again for sharing your story and being with us today.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, next up, we are going to hear from Yvette Lyons. Yvette comes to us from the Pearson Kitsap counties YMCA in Washington. In the past, she's made her mark with the Melicorum branch, but she has recently taken on a new role with the Lakewood County community, the Lakewood Community YMCA, same association. But Yvette, thank you for being with us today. You are obviously, you know, rally royalty.
Okay.
So Yvette, you have sort of, obviously the impact that you have is being shared on the screen here, 270 riders, almost $30,000. You do a lot to engage your staff and keep your staff involved. So tell us a little bit about, you know, what you've done to engage staff with the rally year after year.
So it's really become a fun way for our staff to participate in the annual campaign. So we set them up for success. We'll share that rally's coming up, share more details. We do have a lot of turnover, so there's some staff that have done it every year, but then we have new staff. So we'll share at a staff meeting in emails, and we just explain to them what it's all about, and we encourage them to set a goal. So how many miles, how much money, and just let them know that our members are really going to want to help them reach their goals. So having a goal is really important. And we also help them figure out what their story is. Why do they give? Why is our cause so important to them? So when members say, why are you sitting on that bike for an hour? And they can share why. And we encourage them to not only participate, but also get our members involved. So we show them how to sign members up. They have an iPad and they can sign members up on the actual bikes. And so they can use that. We try to create competition. Competition is really effective. So we have leaderboards. And this past year, what we did was we had leaderboards for each department. So health and well-being had leaderboards for our part-time staff that were up, and members saw like, oh, maybe so-and-so has raised more money, but has only rode 20 miles, and someone else has raised less money, but has rode 100 miles, and members would give more money to the riders who had rode more miles. And so those leaderboards were effective in health and well-being. And then other departments, they were helpful because maybe they couldn't compete with our health and well-being staff, but they could compete with the other membership staff or the other aquatic staff. We also offered incentives. And so the top fundraiser got a staff jacket for each department. And just to keep everyone engaged, if everyone rode a certain amount of miles or raised a certain amount of money, they all were put into a drawing for a prize. We set team goals, and if we hit our team goals, we had a team celebration. So the health and well-being team, we went bowling as our team celebration, and then just throughout the whole month, we celebrate achievements on social media, our shout-out boards, thank you cards, and then to generate excitement beforehand, we were able to order shirts. And so any staff that committed to raising over $100, they got a rally shirt that we had ordered. And we just encourage our coaches and our floor staff to utilize the bikes during wellness appointments and youth orientations, and to have fun and keep it fun.
Awesome. So, Yvette, I'm going to use your kind of change in location to kind of help with this next question. So we had talked about, going from Melcorum, where they're raising $30,000, to Lakewood now, who's raised a couple $100. There's a lot of Ys on this call that want to take that next leap, and I know you will. What are you going to do to sort of excite a staff that might be new to, not new to the rally, but needs sort of to kind of get it to the next level? What are you going to personally do that might benefit building up the Lakewood team, that might benefit others kind of stealing your ideas?
Yeah, so first of all, knowing that it's not going to go from $400 to $30,000 in one year. So setting realistic goals that we can build upon every year. So right now, I think our goal for Lakewood is going to be $7,000, and if we raise more than that, then that would be fantastic. And really just having meetings with staff, getting department leads on board, and then they can get their staff on board. And we're going to start small, so we're not thinking $30,000, but we're thinking smaller amount, but we're going to get a lot more than we did last year. And a lot of the staff there are excited, so yeah.
One thing that I love what Melcorum and frankly what Pierce Kitsap does, they encourage members to ride. Staff encourage members to ride, but there's a healthy dose of people that just don't want to ride. But your staff has done a fantastic job of getting them to support the staff's ride. So can you tell us a little bit about that approach and how it's more, instead of necessarily recruiting, members, the staff are recruiting members to support them by donating to their personal rides. Can you tell us a little bit, because that approach I think is a little unique and obviously impactful.
Yeah, so I really think having a goal is huge. There are so many people, when they find out that your goal is $500 or $400, they want to help you get to your personal goal. And then really having a personal story. So when people ask me personally why I'm riding, I have a personal reason and a story as to why I'm giving, and that helps encourage members to want to sponsor. And so our staff, I try to help them find a reason. And so they all have a particular program or a particular area that the campaign funds that they're passionate about, and when they share that with members, that can all encourage them to want to sponsor. And then also just having a goal, super, super important.
Awesome. I think I know the answer, but what's that one tidbit you would give a new Y or a Y looking to take it to the next level?
I would say to have fun, keep it fun, and set a goal.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. This is Yvette's third year helping us with this webinar, and I know a lot of Ys have benefited from, her coming on every year and kind of giving a peek behind the curtain. So thank you for all you do for the rally and Espresso, Yvette.
Thank you.
Awesome. Next, we're going to hear from Andrea Champagne from the Greater Providence YMCA. Andrea, first off, Andrea, thank you for being with us.
You're so welcome, Doug. Always my pleasure.
So Andrea has found success with her Ys by engaging their youth riders. Just speaking from an old Y director, I always looked for ways to get our youth to understand about what the Y is from a charitable organization and how they can have an impact on that with some of the efforts. Andrea, you've done a really great job of working your youth into the rally. So I'm just going to let you tell your story about how it's sort of evolved at Greater Providence and some of the things that you do to engage your youth riders.
Sure. So this actually happened for us. The success that we saw with our youth riders last year really started because the year before, my own son was really excited to ride. He saw me riding. He was asking about the bike and, was excited to try it and wanted to get on, liked that it had a screen and he was following a course. And then what I noticed was once we put him out there as a rider, he was doing all of his own fundraising, asking our family members to support him. He was using my social media to sort of track his progress and show everyone how well he was doing. And we saw how people were really responding to him and wanted to get behind him and help. And we just so happen at our branch here in Cranston to have a very large middle school and high school population that comes to us after school. We have a middle school right next door, and one of the city high schools is right down the street. So last year, we wanted to try and see what we could do to see if we could, widen that impact that we had the year before. So we actually ended up having 36 under 20 riders last year. We had 4 under 20 riders that were able to raise over $100, and our top 2 fundraisers for our branch were both under 20 riders. They combined to raise over $2,500. But one of the things that we did to really try and get our youth and teens on board was the very first night of the rally. We have a history and a little tradition of always doing something big for the last day of the rally, encouraging our members and our staff, and we try to ride all day up until midnight. But we decided last year that we would kick off the month by doing a teen party, a teen night. So it was after hours at the branch. We were able to engage some of our local businesses to donate pizza, some sandwiches. We had some sweet treats for the kids as well. And we lured them in with the complimentary food, as well as the promise of being able to play basketball and really sort of have the Y all to themselves, which is not something that they get very often, if ever. And we had over 20 young people that came to that evening, and we got them all on the bike for at least 2 miles. We had a local bank that sponsored that party and did a $500 donation to the rally that we were able to apply a portion of to each of those youth riders. And it was really fun to see them. At first it was like, okay, everybody's got to sign up. You've got to ride the bike. And it was like, well, I want to finish my pizza, or, I'm playing 3-on-3. But once we got them on the bike and they were getting used to the feel of it and doing the courses, having the other teens around them kind of cheering them on, or maybe some light trash talk, which is typically how they tend to communicate with one another. But it was a really fun night. And then from there, we were able to get, at least a handful of them to continue riding the bike throughout the month. So it was great to see these young people, and especially these teens, get involved and support our Y and share their stories as well. And we're looking to do more of that this year for sure.
So do you think, obviously pizza is very powerful motivator, but do you think this was a good opportunity for you to sort of educate your youngest members about what the Y is as a whole from a charity standpoint?
I do, absolutely, for a couple of reasons. The first is, all of the kids, our 2 top fundraisers are both Y kids. They've grown up in the Y. They've done a ton of programs, even actually, I should say all 4 of our top riders. So they were always sharing their stories. And I think it's really impactful for our members to hear young people saying, if you donate to my ride or you support me, you're helping other kids like me have a positive experience at the Y like I have had. So there's definitely that component of them sharing their stories. And I think to your point, Doug, being able to connect their own stories with the greater mission of the Y, being able to think about like, oh my gosh, yes, I've played in the youth basketball league for the last 4 years. And that really has had a big impact on me as I'm growing into a young adult, and I want to share that with other people. But I also think one of the other things that came out of it was even our adult members seeing our teens on this bike and seeing the teens help us with our fundraising and help us with our community impact was an amazing way for our adult members to see our teens really having a positive impact, not only on our Y, but on our community, which is something that we need sometimes. As people, other Y folks know, we are all ages here. So you definitely have people that need to get along with one another and share spaces with one another. And that can be tricky. So to have have such a positive thing like the rally, where our adult members and our teen members were sometimes riding side by side or seeing each other on the bike, asking each other, how many miles have you done? When was the last time you were on the bike? Getting everybody involved like that was really positive, and I think really inspiring for our community.
Awesome. Same question as the others. What's the one bit of advice that you would give some of the Ys looking to raise, get close to that $7,000? What's the advice you would give them in terms of their rally?
Sure. I would just say to keep building. I mean, I've mentioned this before. 4 years ago, we were a Y that raised $490, which at the time was great. And a couple $100 is a couple $100 towards our annual campaign. And that was wonderful. But if you keep at it, every year you're going to build. So even for us, last year, when my son rode, I think he ended up raising about $720. Last year, he raised over $1,000 and was joined by 35 other young people that combined for almost half of our total, right? So our youth riders raised over $3,000 for our Y, which is incredible. But you're not going to get there in a year, and you're not, to echo Yvette, like you're not going to go from $500 to $30,000, but you'll see 500 to maybe 1,500 and 1,500 to 2,500. And so to just keep at it, because every year that you do it, you're going to build on the last year's success, and you're going to find new ways to motivate your riders and motivate your staff, and hopefully motivate your community members to help with the fundraising aspect.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Yvette, and thank you, Andrea, for your pearls of wisdom, and thank you, Yvette and Nancy as well. What we're going to do now is Ross is going to jump back on, and we're going to field some questions from some of our attendees. Some of them will be broad and some of them will be pointed. So Ross, why don't you take the mic back?
Yeah, thanks guys. So as Doug said, we do have some time for Q&A. If you are listening in and you do have any questions for either Doug or any of our awesome panelists here today, go ahead and type them into the questions box in your GoToWebinar control panel, and I'll do my best to get them all answered for you right now. We did have a couple come in while we were doing the presentation there. This is one that we get a lot. And we got it again this time, which is how many bikes do you need to have to participate in the rally? So I'll throw that back to you guys.
I'll take the initial. The answer is one bike, and I think there's a misconception that bikes will equate to how much money you can raise, and that's true in a sense. But I'm hoping the panelists can help me kind of confirm this. It's not necessarily the number of bikes; it's how you motivate your members and how you schedule and use your bikes. We have Ys that have one bike, and we have Ys that have 12 bikes, and they're raising different amounts, and it's not necessarily equivalent to how many bikes they have. So panelists, any ideas and thoughts on that?
Yeah, you'll find that there are busier times, and so there might be more of a demand for people to get on the bikes, but you definitely have your low times, and that's when the Y Calgary would have to get staff to go on it. So really, yeah, 1 or 2 bikes can do the job just as well as 10 or 12.
I would agree too. This is Andrea, and I mean, last year we raised $7,000 on 2 bikes. We were able to get a 3rd bike for the last day when we were trying to, pedal all the way until midnight. But for the majority of the challenge, we were working with 2 bikes. So I think it definitely has to do with how you are motivating people to give and to support and getting people on the bike. You can raise a good amount of money with not necessarily, 5, 6, 10 bikes.
Yeah, and I think for everybody on this call, you have to remember Espresso's 10 cents a mile, and the mileage is just a piece of what the rally really is. It's really meant to be sort of more of a GoFundMe style of a program where you can share your stories. People will support people. We mentioned that we raised $252,000 last year. 50,000 of that came by way of mileage. So $202,000 were raised without the use of a bike at all. Those were flat donations made to an individual rider, not necessarily, accounted to a bike. So Andrea raising $7,000 with 2 bikes is not necessarily out of left field, because her and her team did a really good job of spreading the word of what the Y was doing through their donation pages. So that's what I'll kind of say there.
Thanks, guys. To kind of piggyback on that, and the next question here is a good one, I think. It's do you think it's a good idea to use the rally to fundraise for a specific program at the Y, like Livestrong, or do you use it as a general annual campaign fundraiser? Doug, I'm going to throw that back to you.
I think it really depends on how your Y fundraises. I know we have some Ys that will raise it specifically for their Livestrong program. Others use it as a way to, I know the Y in Australia uses it for their annual breast cancer fundraiser. It's really just going to be whatever's going to help you motivate your members. So it's not necessarily an annual campaign specific program. It's really however you want to use our platform and the rally as a whole to fundraise. I don't know if any of the presenters do it any other way. Have feedback?
I think that, one of the things that's interesting is I think for us here in Cranston, I think for a lot of Ys out there, for us, it has had less to do with where the money is going and more about who is asking for the support. So if you have staff involved, we have members that are giving because Amanda, who helps them every day at the member service desk, is asking them to support her ride because of what the Y has meant to her or meant to her family. So I think in a lot of ways, your relationships really come into play in terms of members will give, family members will give, community organizations or businesses will give because of the relationships that individual people at the Y have developed with them. And I think that's really been the key for us, more so than trying to earmark what the funding is supporting.
Gotcha. Great. I had one specifically for Yvette. Do you have different goals for different staff members, and how do you set the right goals that aren't too high or too low?
So we let staff decide what their goal is. I can't tell them what their goal is going to be, but we do have a goal of raising at least $100 to get a shirt. And we have goals set for getting entered into drawings. But as far as setting a goal, there's some staff who set a goal to raise $100 and some set a goal to raise $1,000. And some set a goal to ride 100 miles and some set a goal to ride 1,000 too. We had a membership staff member who set a goal to ride 100 miles. And for her, riding 100 miles was a huge achievement, and our members and our staff really rallied behind her, as opposed to another staff who rode 1,000 miles, and that was probably equally as challenging. So we let, or everyone just decides what's the best goal for them.
Gotcha. So a question on that. This is another one for Yvette, I think. Do you weight the departments according to number of employees for each department?
So as far as department goals and stuff like that, the senior directors and the program directors in that department decide what kind of goals they want to set for their department.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
Okay. All right, I have one last question here right now. We have HD bikes, so we can't sign riders up from the bikes. How do you sign up riders and staff for the rally? Do you do this ahead of time or during the month?
I'll take that. So a lot of successes come from having HDs, and there's a number of different tactics. The first and best tip I would give you is to start promoting it now. Email out the link to the rally page. Riders can click in, they can create their accounts, they can join the rally. So sharing through social media, newsletters, some Ys will have tablets in their facilities, computers. There's any number of ways to start recruiting members. If you were to look at the Espresso, the Rally homepage now, members are joining now, and money is already rolling in for those flat donations that are not necessarily attributed to per mile pledges. So yeah, you can start recruiting members and signing members up now, and it's again going to be whatever's going to work for your team. Emailing out the link to sign up is really impactful. Sharing on social media, whatever your team is currently doing to register ahead of time for programs is what I would say to kind of use as your your plan of attack.
Gotcha.
Can I also add, Doug and Ross, we
Yep.
have an iPad that we have at the desk, at the member, or at the wait for desk. So if people are wanting to sign up, they can learn about it. If it doesn't happen that day, then at least they have that for the next day as well.
And fantastic, Nancy, and that's great to hear. Ross, on the other end of that, yes, the answer is you can register after the rally starts. I can't tell you how many people raise a ton of money within the last few days of the rally just doing that push. So if a member comes to you halfway through the rally and thinks it's too late for them to join and have an impact, it's false, because again, it's not necessarily the number of miles, it's the number of people that you're educating and soliciting support from. So yeah, don't be afraid to get people to sign on. Nancy, you had talked about your event that happened last year on February 11th. I got to imagine that you got a lot of new people joining halfway at the halfway point.
Yeah, we totally did. And again, we had I can't remember if we had old bikes or new bikes at that point, but we didn't have any challenge in getting them signed up. So it is a simple process to get an account. We do still have kind of a combination of the different bikes. So we are able to get accounts. And like I said, using the online is usually pretty quick turnaround. So.
Awesome.
Gotcha. All right. Well, that is it for the questions for this webinar right now. So Doug, I'm going to pass it back to you for some closing remarks.
Yeah, I mean, I want to again thank all of our presenters. These guys are seasoned veterans. They're raising significant dollars for their YMCAs. So please take what you learned today and apply it to your own rally. And certainly, my information's here. If you have questions that didn't get answered or you want more help, certainly reach out. We just want to be as impactful as we can with this program and help you support your communities, because we know the types of programs that you're running and the types of individuals that you're supporting. So start decorating your lobbies, put balloons on your bikes, do everything you got to go. The rally in February will be here before you know it, and we'd love to see everybody have a positive impact. So thank you for joining us today. Thank you for rallying with us, and good luck to everybody in February.
All right, thanks so much, everyone.
Take care, guys.